Welcome back to this space that we share. Um, I keep waiting for the feature where I can jump to your phone and sit next to you. It hasn't come out yet, so this is the next best thing. Thanks for taking the time to watch these videos. They're such an important part of the course, and this individual work that you're doing is so paramount to stepping into leadership. Becoming a leader is an inside job, and so thank you for doing this work. Thank you for courageously continuing to look. We know these last 8 weeks have been a lot, and we know that anger work brings up a lot for everyone. So want to check in with you and just see, how are you after anger week? How does it feel in your body? Is there more space in there? What's your relationship to your anger? I think one of the key distinctions with anger that I always remember when my kids are yelling at me is that anger always expresses a need for things to be different, either in the past or in the future or in the present. A need to be seen, a need to be protected, a need to be respected, a need to be nurtured, a need to slow down, a need to be heard, a need to have boundaries. Often anger expresses a need for you to say no. Say no to overextending, say no to a certain kind of treatment, say no to living in deprivation, living without your basic needs met, whether that's food or shelter or just being in an environment that you feel safe and loved in. So just really grounding in that anger has really been demonized as this destructive hurricane that comes out and hurts people. All the work that we're doing with anger and that we're doing in this course is to reframe anger as a signal that things need to be different. And the skill that we're developing and the reason that we go inside almost every time that we meet is that impulse of anger can signal us checking in and seeing, what is the need that I have? What is the need that I have for things to be different? Often we're using anger to heal the past, and we're needing to say what we couldn't say back then, back as a child or back a year ago with our ex. We needed to have a boundary and we didn't. And there's anger about that. And we express that anger to be really clear about the boundary that we needed to have then and that we want to have now. This allows us to create a world for ourselves where we can thrive. It allows us to develop boundaries that allow us to be in touch with and get what we want. Often we're so frustrated because we see year after year we're living in environments where we don't feel safe, where we don't feel celebrated, where we don't feel affirmed, where we don't feel like people are standing for us, we're not around people that see us for who we are and what we can achieve. We're frustrated by that, and our anger in its most healthy form is our guide into a world, into an environment that will allow us to thrive, that will allow us to be the leaders that we were born to be. So where we start with anger is outwardly faced anger. Anger at a situation, anger at a person, anger at a group, anger at a violation or circumstances that we wanted to be different, that we needed to be different. And that's a great place to start. And it's really healthy, right? It's really appropriate for us to walk through the world and say yes and no. Yes to more nurturing people in our lives. Yes to having enough of what we need as far as food and shelter and safety. No to violation. No to people criticizing us and venting on us in a way that we don't deserve. So those yeses and nos to the external world, absolutely essential and really appropriate to express. But what we find is actually under that, and often as we express our outward anger, what we come in touch with is anger at ourselves. Anger at ourselves for denying our own needs, for not having those boundaries to get what we want, to staying in situations that feel toxic, for settling, for just saying, yeah, I'm just going to settle for less than I deserve. I'm going to settle for less than I want, whether that's money, whether that's love, whether that's being seen, whether that's just being in an environment that don't fit what your internal needs are. All the ways that we've settled, we often have anger at ourselves around that. The ways that we've treated ourselves badly. Most of us live with an inner critic that's constantly just whipping us and finding everything wrong with us, whether it's physically or emotionally or the way we behave or the way we put things off, procrastinate. We often live in an environment that is not a nice place to live inside of our own skin. That criticism and that harshness and that kind of treating ourselves like we're a commodity, like we're just something that performs. And when we perform well, we give ourselves a modicum, a minimal amount of praise. And when we perform badly according to other people's standards and maybe our own standards, then we criticize and we're harsh with ourselves. So we often have internal anger at ourselves about that. We're often angry at ourselves for the choices that we've made. We've all made a ton of poor choices, and we're going to keep making poor choices because we're all learning, right? And we have anger about that. So we want to have a place for the same healthy relationship we're cultivating with anger towards the outside world to also come inside. So we say, oh, I'm needing something from myself that I'm not getting. I'm needing more love. I'm needing in an environment where I feel supported, even when I make a mistake, even when I fail, particularly when I fail. So that same learning that you're developing around how to work with external anger, we want to also take that learning to our inner world and notice that when we're angry at ourselves for making the wrong choice, that it's expressing a need, that it's expressing a desire for us and for things to be different. So this week is all about checking in and seeing how we are. In the Monday class, there's going to be a lot of time to share what's going on with you. And for many of us, it's been a gradual thawing over this 8 weeks. We're finding out things about ourselves, and we're finding out that there's secrets that we've kept, that there's parts of us that we've kept hidden, that there's things that we're still carrying shame, that we're still carrying regret about. This week is about unburdening. So the work that we'll do here today is about starting to notice the burdens that we're carrying, starting to notice the things that we're still holding, the things that we're still managing, the secrets that we're still keeping. And the reason that we're doing this work together today is to prime you for going into that space where you can be visible with who you are as you are. There's something healing, there's something that shifts when I say, I've carried all this shame about this thing that happened to me. I've carried all this regret. I've carried all this self-hatred about this choice that I made or this thing that I did. And we want to unburden ourselves because what we know is when somebody else shares something that they regret, we don't feel judgment. We just feel love and compassion for them. And you can know that that's what they'll feel about you. And sharing things in a group, sharing things with another person allows us to bring some of that compassion, some of that understanding, some of that empathy into our own heart. So this week is all about taking a breath and sharing and answering the question, if you really knew me, you would know this about me. If you really knew me, you would know I'm still wrestling with this. If you really knew me, you'd know that sometimes the depression hits me in the morning like a big, heavy, wet blanket and I can't get out of bed. If you really knew me, you'd know that sometimes I feel really confident and sometimes I feel really insecure, like what am I doing here, and I can't speak and I feel like I'm unworthy and I don't have a right to exist or take up space. What we learn as we share these different aspects of what we're experiencing in our own body is that they're all human experiences, right? Where there's nothing terrible or wrong or bad about us. These are just all parts of being human. And one of the parts of shame is that it isolates us and it says to us there's something particularly wrong or bad about you and you better hide that because nobody could ever love that part. The act of sharing kind of breaks that spell and breaks that toxic relationship with shame and allows us to see that really there's nothing that's not lovable about us. We're all struggling, we've all got pain, we're all wrestling with parts of our past inside, and we can hold each other and we can see ourselves in each other. So that's what this week's about. You're going to have opportunities to share on Monday. There's going to be a second part of this video, and you're going to have opportunities. In fact, everyone will get to share in your home group. So in preparation for our Monday class, let's drop inside and just see how it is for us and spend some time in our own hearts and our own bodies, noticing what are the burdens that we're carrying. What are the things that we're still keeping inside? What are the regrets that we're holding? So if you'll come along with me, we know how to do this so well by now. I'm putting my feet on the floor. I'm casting my eyes down. Feel free to close your eyes. And I'm just dropping inside my own body. I'm breathing in my belly. I'm letting my exhales be full. I'm letting that breath go down into my pelvis. I'm feeling in my pelvis any shame or ways that my desire has been subverted or kept down. I'm feeling my legs, the strength of my legs, how they've carried me. I'm breathing into my feet. I'm feeling where these feet have taken me, what they've taken me away from, how they've delivered me here to you. So just feeling right along with me. We're doing this together. Letting that breath go into your heart and just noticing, just really softening and asking, heart, what are you carrying? What are you still managing? What are you still holding? What are you still trying to be strong about? Heart, what part of you just wants to collapse and put down this burden that you've held for so long? Breathing into your shoulders, and again, what are these burdens that we've carried? Often things happen to us really early in life, sometimes as a teenager, sometimes as a young adult, and we've kept them inside. They've been burdens on our back, and they've been burdens so long that we forgot that we were carrying them. Breathing down into your arms and your hands, knowing that your arms and your hands have stories to tell. They have memories. They're holding the frozen energy of being slapped or hit or pushed away. They're remembering reaching out and having no one there. And as you breathe into your hands and your arms and your heart and your body, letting yourself trace back through all of the memories of these past 8 weeks, all the places you've gone, what you've heard other people share, what you've shared in the chat or in the small home groups, what you've shared in the main group, what you've felt, what you've not said, what you've thought about saying and then not said or not written in the chat. Seeing the opportunities that are here for you in these 8 weeks and noticing the opportunities you've taken and the opportunities you've stepped back from or frozen around. And as you see the whole journey of these last 8 weeks, just noticing what it feels like in your body right now. Noticing if you're coping with something in this very moment. Maybe there's someone you're worried about, there's a situation you're anxious about, or something in your life that feels overwhelming. Noticing what scares you in your life right now. What are you afraid of? Could be afraid of not having enough food, not having shelter, what you're going to do for work, how a relationship is going to come out. Scared about what's next, but what scares you? What fear are you living with in your body? Sometimes we get so used to pushing down our fear that we forget to even pay attention and listen to it, feel it. And along those lines, noticing if there are feelings in you that you're afraid to face. We've talked a lot about anger anger being the boogeyman, sometimes grief being the boogeyman. If I open to that, it'll be endless. It'll overwhelm me. It'll take me out. It'll hurt people. It'll overwhelm people. Shame is often one we don't want to go into because it feels so toxic and so big, right? So just noticing if there's feelings in you that you may have touched on, but you're still afraid to face and really feel. And again, just taking these few moments, breathing, feeling your feet on the ground, noticing how does it feel to live in your own skin? This is your home. You're here every day. You'll be here till your last breath. How does it feel to walk around in your own skin? How is it to be you? And as you walk around being in your own skin, being you, how is it to be in relationship with other people? Are there relationships in your life that are toxic, that don't nurture you? Are there people, are there communities where you feel drawn, where you feel a potential for connection, a potential that you haven't followed, a draw that you've kept your distance from? How is it to be in your skin in relationship? Where do you hold back? Where do you go forward? Where do you stay when it's time to go? Just noticing how it is for you in relationship. And we spent some time over the last few weeks going into childhood, really listening to those early messages that we got. And what we know is that even with this deep work that we've done over this short 8 weeks that we've done together, that each of us still has memories and messages from our childhood that haunt us. What are those for you? What are the messages from your childhood about what's possible for you, about who you are, that still stop you, that still sabotage you today? No need to get specific answers to any of these questions. We're just making space. So maybe in your body right now, imagining yourself getting a little bigger, taking up a little more room, and inviting in whatever the experience is of being you, of living in your skin in this moment at your real age today. What is it like to be you? If we really knew you, what would we know about what you live with every day, what you're living with this day? What would we know if you just opened up the doors of your inner experience and said, come in. I'm tired of managing all this myself. Let me show you around my inner house. What would we see? What would we experience? So with all that and cultivating an environment as we look and as we ask these questions of curiosity and of softness and of invitation, knowing that the only ask for this week in our work together is for you to share how it is for you, how it is for you to be you. And with that invitation and with that warmth and that curiosity, gently coming back into this space that we share together, letting your eyes open, and just checking in. How are you? How is it to be in your body? Noticing if there's any automatic management that comes in. We're so programmed to not be simply as we are, to manage how we appear, to manage what we say, to manage what we feel. How is it to be just as we are? And to think about the invitation to share ourselves just as we are with a group, with another person, with a small group. How is that? So we're going to have some opportunities, just a few opportunities. It's a light week. It's a light week on writing, to just write down some of what might come up as we look inside and ask those questions, how we are. The first invitation, I'm assuming that by this point you've got your pen and your pad ready, or you've got your application open to write because you're pros. You're pros. What am I tolerating and trying to cope with in my life? So the first question to write on is, what am I tolerating and trying to cope with in my life? You'll have 3 minutes, but you know how this goes. If you've got more to say, just pause the video and then restart it when you feel finished. What am I tolerating and trying to cope with in my life? Write it down. The second writing prompt is one that I really want us to take in because often we draw a blank. But I'd like you to look a little deeper than the blank and write on what secrets about my past am I still harboring? Secrets are the way that shame keeps us in slavery. Secrets are the way that we stay in that isolation and harshness of our own self-critic. So I'm asking you to write down, and it doesn't mean you have to share these secrets with anyone, but I'm asking you for yourself to name what are the secrets about my past that I'm still harboring. You have 3 minutes, and again, pause the video if you've got more to say and start it again when you're finished. few weeks ago, we did work on shame. What we know is that shame is often layered, right? There's layers of shame. We have access to the initial layers, and we find that that shame is permeated into the very way that we move in the world. We often find that when we call on someone, they'll say, I'm shy, I don't like to speak. And then they have so much to say. And we go a little deeper with them, and they were taught to believe very early that what they have to say, what they feel, their experience doesn't matter. It's insignificant. It's a burden. That's a form of shame. So I'd like you to write on, in what areas of your life does shame still stop or limit me? In what areas of your life does shame still stop or limit you? You've got 3 minutes. You know what to do. Keep writing and pause the video if you want to keep writing. For this last question, we find that many of us, myself included, are hesitant to answer this question in the same way they might be hesitant to answer the secrets question. And the question is, what relationships in my life feel toxic or like they just don't nurture me? Doesn't mean you have to make any changes. But self-honesty, really finding what's working and not working, how we're feeling inside, is the first step to healing. So letting yourself know that this doesn't mean you have to move out of a situation or break up with someone or leave your family. But this is just asking inside, what relationships in my life feel toxic or just not nurturing to me? Go ahead and write now. Great work today. Can't wait to see you on Monday. Come prepared to share, both in the chat and in the large group. It's a very large group. And know that you're going to have time in your home group to share, and then everyone will have a chance to share. And please watch the second part of this video. Thanks again for the time together, and we'll see you soon.